Everybody who decided to not listen to the message that I've been delivering, everybody who chose to disagree with the things that I speak, the thoughts that I convey to the universe, to the people, they're all worse off in life. I made a video, and I'll put it here right now. I made that video, and in that video, what did I say? Is this arrogance or confidence? You will suffer more than necessary if you do not heed the words that I put forth. And it's not that I'm speaking my opinions. It's not that I'm speaking my personal sentiments. I'm an individual who has a past where I was living by my own laws. On your first ascent, typically it could happen fast, it could happen long, it could be extremely painful, it doesn't have to be. But the first ascent is going to be self-actualization. My self-actualization phase came in this way. I was in high school, I started smoking some weed, I started getting more in tune with my psychic nature, I started perceiving that there was something happening, people were smiling in my face, there was like a certain level of awareness that was occurring that I needed to tap into. I started studying psychology in school. I was listening to Lil B, based, be positive, be you. I was based. I was embracing my individuality. I ain't give a fuck about what nobody was saying. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, I'm in school. I'm actually getting my education. You know, I end up start rapping again. 2012, 2013, we start rapping again. You know, we start pushing these bass freestyles. Me, SSJ, Will Striker, we got Enroll, we got everybody. We pushing this shit. You know what I'm saying? Now YWY becomes the movement. You know, fast forward, I'm Lil B. Got a track with Lil B. Lil B is, you know, blessing me with different favors, inviting me to shows. You know, I'm really connected with my role model at the time, that whole ascent. But being under the premise of the mindset of bass, you know, I was doing me, being positive, 100,000 bitches, all that shit, smoking weed, selling weed, doing the drug, doing the SID, doing the shrooms, doing the trippy shit. You know, that's the shit that I was attracted to. And the thing about, you have to understand, like, yeah, I was based, being an individual, embracing my individuality, not giving a fuck. But at the same time, my scholastic nature and my academic nature and my scientific nature collided and fused with that. And what that produced was an individual being themselves, self-actualizing. Self-actualization has always been a concept of mine. You could Google the tweets. You could search up the tweets. Self-actualization has always been a concept. Humanism has always been a concept, because what I was studying psychology, I learned about Abraham Maslow. I learned about all these different individuals, different schools of thought, Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud, all of this. I got it written down on a document that I called the 𝑌WY Manifesto. It's a document I created in Sudan where I actually came up with the name. I have the same document. You could look at the date it was created, date last modified. You could right click, look at the info, and it'll show you. And on that, I said that I was going to become one of the world's first leading black psychoanalysts. Now, I never wanted to take the traditional formal academic route, go get a PhD, all this other shit. That shit was for squares. I'm like, nah, bro. Like, I'm not about to just sit here and become a therapist and listen to all of these weird-ass motherfuckers and absorb all their pain stories and walk around in this world as a depot of people's fucking trauma. I'm not doing that shit. So fast forward, how did I change that? You know, becoming a coach, we provide solutions. I don't give a fuck about none of your fucking weird ass shit. Yeah, I empathize, I understand it, I understand the nuances in full depth. But at the end of the day, I'm not about to sit here and watch you complain and give you deeper explanations for your fucking hypochondria so that you can walk around with justification for, I'm bipolar, so I'm gonna be a piece of shit. Oh, I have trauma, so I'm gonna be a piece of shit. No, it doesn't work like that. You know what I'm saying? We can understand your complex. We can understand the damage that has occurred to your psyche, but we're not about to sit here and accommodate that shit. So the difference between therapists and coaches. Coaches provide solutions that you apply to your life so that you no longer have the problem. You go to a motherfucking therapist, all they're gonna do is give you long-winded explanations about why you should believe that you have ADHD, and you basically go in there and get handicapped. I always ask people this shit. When you have ADHD or you're diagnosed bipolar or whatever the fuck these people try to tell you, that whatever the fuck, so now what are you, like, handicapped for the rest of your life? There's no handicaps in life. It's either you rise above circumstances or you fucking perish. Nature is unforgiving like that. So all these people want these accommodations to their inferior conduct. All these people want these accommodations to their lack of personal development. Sure, once you become aware that you have a certain disposition or a certain mood temperament, it's in your responsibility to adjust yourself accordingly to become the most functional version of yourself. It's not the world's responsibility to tiptoe around your fucking weakness. Whatever you are, your world is yours. I say all that to say, I just demonstrated my academic self. When I started doing the trippy shit, the best scientist runs the experiment on themselves. The person who created LSD discovered LSD because they were tripping balls because they was fucking around in the lab with some ergot, and then they ended up realizing they was fucking tripping balls. Every other practitioner of medicine and all this other shit, even Dr. Sebi, you have to be willing to experiment on yourself. Experiment gets you the experience gets you the wisdom and the insight. So I say all this to say, in my first phase of self-actualization, although I was based and I was fucking young Casanova, you know what I'm saying? A lot of bitches, bro. I got a lot of bitches. That's all I used to say in my tracks. Womanizing, chasing pussy, you know what I'm saying? Breaking hearts, all types of shit, right? Yeah, granted. But at the same time, I was still this intellectual giant. And I was still on this pursuit for true enlightenment. So in my first phase, what occurred was self-actualization. And in the self-actualization phase, you're going to be running on your own laws. This is when your ego first has its run in the universe. And when you realize that the lotus flower, which is the emblem and token for enlightenment, the lotus flower blooms twice. It blooms and then it closes, and then it blooms and then it closes. So it has a perpetual unfoldment, realization of its potential, and then it goes dormant. And then it has another cycle of unfoldment. So when you look at the lotus flower, your first phase of self-actualization is going to be you with your initial ego attempt at Earth, because ego deaths don't happen forever. Ego deaths happen like phoenixes die. So your ego death, you're always going to have an ego death. And what you want to do is have as many ego deaths as possible in the shortest amount of time, so that you can recognize your failed egos. Failed egos are a thing. Once you recognize you have a failing ego, that if you continue to move in this particular direction, you will end up in a cataclysm of failure and demise, right? Some people never realize that shit, and they actually end up in fatal situations or in irrevocable situations. But once you recognize that your ego is failing you, then you have to correct yourself, let that ego die, and readjust. And then you have a birth of a new ego. Phoenix. It rises, it fucking burns out, it comes from its ashes. This is the cycle of ego birth and ego death. There is no totality in ego death. The ego is low-key immortal. It just is born, it rises, it has its lifespan, it has its karma, it realizes its end, and you're rebirthed through the ashes. So, I say all that to say, everybody who's not listening to me right now, who is not adhering the wisdom and the advice that I'm giving, they're worse off in life. We're at the point in the time-space continuum where we are in the year, let's say 2024, it's about to be 2025. I've been living the personification and the embodiment of the YWY teachings, which are basically a condensed version through my lens of universal laws, right? I'm just packaging what's already out there. I'm not creating new truths. I'm just speaking the truth through my perceptions, right? Through my frame, through my flavor. You can't cook chicken. Chicken is chicken, bro. So I'm just cooking the chicken the way I'm cooking the chicken with my flavor. You feel me? So anybody who hasn't been listening to me from 2020 to 2000 and now, right? They're doing worse off in life. And I'm objectively, factually, and actually, undeniably doing way better than I ever have in my entire existence. And in this short amount of time, I've surpassed and excelled so many people who thought that they had a potential leverage on me in some weird clandestine competition. I have never focused on competing with anybody. I've never been that person. I've always been the person that has always felt really enthusiastic about all of us doing the best things that we can and becoming the best people possible. Along the way, working in teams, working in groups, working alongside other peers and shit, I can also say that Sheikhy Chic has never been one to allow his intelligence to be disrespected. Meaning, like, if I see you do some dumb shit, I'm calling this shit out. I've always been deemed the asshole. I've always been deemed the person who says it how it is, you know what I'm saying? Or people think I'm mean or some shit. It's like, I'm not being mean. It's just like, that's some dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't have that in their lives where they can, like, just cut through the bullshit and realize people are doing dumb shit. So it's not even like I've ever changed. The only thing that I've changed is the fact that I'm no longer listening to me. I'm no longer making my own rules. I'm no longer living by Ayman's desires and egos. I'm no longer living by what I feel the world should be. I'm living in accordance with the laws of the universe. So usually people go to prison. People end up in really fucked up situations. I end up in a fucked up situation. I was in a karmic hole. I dug myself in. I realized that. I worked my way out from the bottom to the top. It's just what it is. Called my shots. You gotta realize. Damn, bro. Right. I stopped listening to me. I started living in alignment with the laws of the universe. Anybody who's not living in alignment with the laws of the universe is failing and doing bad at life. And the longer they move in that direction of error, the more they will accumulate pain, friction, and affliction in their personal existence. And they will have to realize that, first, all the decisions that they made, all the error decisions that they made, happened through their mind, and then all of the manifestations and executions happen through their own hands. So your demise will be yours. And once you recognize, when you're in the karmic hole and you recognize it was your fault, you're ground down by the laws of the universe. Then you're like, I give up. I give up being a criminal in the universe. Creator of creations, God, Dios, fucking deity, whatever the fuck you want to call it, has created law. There are laws here. There are rules here. Whether you want to accept them or not, there are rules here. And we're not talking about man's laws. We're talking about the laws that govern existence. Anybody who's poor in life is a criminal. They're a criminal to the laws of the universe. So people like myself, who used to be criminals, karmic criminals, right? It's like, fuck it. I want to be a law-abiding citizen in the universe. And once you become a law-abiding citizen in the universe, an upstanding citizen in the universe will bestow his favors on you. The creator of the universe will bestow their favors on you. God favors who favors God. And the word favor is there. You will be given favor. You will be given favor once you start to take on favoring the laws of the universe. Why you roll this judge? Consider vibration raised. I just need y'all to understand that. This is a synopsis. Anybody who decides that they feel like they can disagree with me, a lot of people can't take my advice, and they'd rather live a really fucked up life than take my advice, which is double down on their arrogance. Okay, great. I'm telling you, your life is going to be fucked up. It's not a debate. It's not an opinion. It's a fucking fact. And I'm warning you. I'm giving you heed. You know what I'm saying? And it's not going to be through my will that your life is going to be fucked up. The will of the universe has its own will. I'm doing this as a friend. Your life is going to be really fucking terrible, bro. And you only have one, and you have a finite amount of time. So you don't have much time once you realize you've wasted so much time being a dumbass. It's better to realize that you stupid now so that you can live smart forever, instead of realize you stupid too late and now you don't have that much time to live as smart as you could have and should have. Plus your opportunities are thin because you're older and you're less physically, you know Your constitution is fucked up. You're fucking almost about to expire. Like, realize. So anyway, synopsis. Anybody who didn't listen to me, who doesn't listen to me, realize you're not even not listening to me. You're not listening to the laws of the universe. Your life will be worse. Everybody has to go through their own fucking bump in their head in the universe and their own dealings with karma. Nobody can save you from the consequences of your own conduct, and your conduct produces your karma. Your karma is what your account is in life. Deeds, right? Positive deeds, negative deeds. Your outputs into the universe, which come back to you in return, unequivocal. So you can't escape that. If you don't listen to me, your life will be fucked up. I'm telling you. But just not that you're not listening to me. You're breaking the laws of the universe. Secondly, everybody has to go through their own shit. I understand that. The sooner you learn, the better you can return back to being on the path. Self-actualization is the first phase. Once you do your little ego shit and you realize you've manifested your ego and it's doomed to fail because you're operating on your rules and your laws, right? You think you can make the rules here. Then you'll be ground down and that ego will have to die. And once you get ground down through the pains of your own inflicted sufferings, right? Sufficiently enough to the point where enough is enough, and you're so sick of being sick, and you're so tired of being tired, and the pain hurts too much, and you'd rather die than continue another day in ignorance. Then you move into the phase of self-transcendence, where you no longer live in alignment with your desires and whims and shit like that. You know that hedonism is a doomed process. Everybody who's chasing pleasure is really attracting pain. And once you recognize that shit, you alleviate yourself and remove yourself from the karmic cycle. See, some people get into self-transcendence, they have a struggle understanding this shit, and they end up taking back steps. Great. Every time you take a back step, it's gonna hurt more than ever, because now you're more aware than ever. And once you taste the blessings that come with living in alignment, 𝙎𝙝𝙚𝙀𝙆𝙀𝙀, alignment, whatever the fuck you want to call it, you live in concordance with the will of the infinite, the unconditional, and the ultimate. Every time you take a back step, you're gonna feel even worse, and you'll never want to feel that pain again. So I don't seek pleasure in this universe. I don't seek the rewards. It's simply about avoiding the pains. And once you live life by living in alignment with the rules, because you're not trying to gain a reward, you're not trying to gain a blessing, you're not trying to gain anything from God or the universe. You're simply understanding through humility how to avoid being dumb. It's not even about being smart. You just want to avoid the negativity, and everything else naturally falls into place. Consider vibrations raised. I love all of y'all. I'm telling y'all. Yeah, sometimes I get on here and I'll be a little bit more heated than not. Sometimes I get on here and I'm a little bit more direct than not. Sometimes I get on here, I'm a little bit more masculine and pop energy, big pop of energy than not. Sometimes y'all need that shit. But right now, I'm just telling y'all from a place of true love. If you choose to try to disagree with the things that I'm telling you, your life will be fucked up. It will be less than the best. So don't be a dumbass. Consider the vibrations raised.